They called him a monster. When Silas collapsed in terror at the shelter, everyone said Bane was beyond saving. But behind those bared teeth, Silas saw a prisoner. This wasn't an attack, it was a scream for help in the only language Bane ever knew. Silas lived a life defined by a deep, resonant solitude, tucked away in a remote region where the air smelled of damp earth and ripening fruit. Between his university studies and tending to the sprawling grapevines that clung to the hillsides like ancient green lace, he found peace in the absolute absence of human noise. However, the biting, hollow loneliness of the nights eventually drove him to seek a companion, a silent guardian to share his sanctuary and watch over his home. That was the day he met Bane at the local rescue center. The shelter worker's face turned ashen when Silas pointed toward the shadows where the German shepherd stood. Bane? He's unadoptable. He's been returned twice, and honestly, we're out of options, she whispered, her voice trembling with a mixture of pity and raw fear. She began to recount a backstory that would make the devil weep in sorrow. Bane had been rescued from the clutches of a monstrous, violent alcoholic who treated the magnificent creature like a punching bag rather than a living being. Every single night for years, Bane was subjected to a rain of blows, and the stinging, suffocating stench of alcohol poured over his open wounds. In that hellish environment, the dog discovered that baring his teeth was the only thing that could make the pain stop for even a split second. He had been conditioned to believe that the entire world was a lethal threat, and Heartwarming, that primal, terrifying growl, became his only bridge to reality. He didn't know how to wag a tail or play with a ball. To Bane, every outstretched hand was a falling hammer, and every kind word was a precursor to agony. Before we continue, if heartwarming rescue stories touch your soul, please subscribe. Your support means everything. Hit that subscribe button right now. You won't regret it. Now, back to the story. Despite the horrific warnings, Silas saw the battle scars on Bane. The previous owner had reported Bane for an unprovoked attack, but the truth was simpler. The dog was just a mirror reflecting the violence he had endured. He wasn't a killer, he was a survivor who had lost his way in the darkness. Silas signed the adoption papers with a shaking hand, ignoring the looks of disbelief from the staff. Silas looked at Bane and promised that the violence was over forever. The first few months at the house were a symphony of pure tension and bared teeth. Every time Silas walked into the room, Bane would freeze like a stone statue, his lips pulling back in that signature, terrifying snarl that vibrated through the floorboards. Even when Silas offered the finest meals, holding the bowl with hands that were calm despite the noise, Bane would approach with a lethal intensity, Heartwarming echoing through the kitchen like a distant thunderstorm. He ate while guarding his food as if it were his last breath, never breaking eye contact, never softening his gaze for a moment. When Silas tried to take him for walks, the beginning was always the same. A standoff at the door where Bane would flash his fangs, testing the boundaries of Silas's resolve. But Silas refused to flinch or show fear. He began to notice something truly incredible. Bane never actually bit him. It was all a performance, a shield of sound designed to keep the world at arm's length. What happened next left everyone speechless. Instead of pulling away, Silas began to lean into the noise. He realized that this was simply Bane's voice, his way of saying, "I am here and I am terrified." One afternoon, while Bane was mid-growl, Silas did something insane. He sat down on the floor, looked at the dog, and started to laugh softly with genuine warmth. He began to treat the growling like a percussion instrument. As Bane's jaw opened and closed in that rhythmic display of teeth, Silas started to clap along to the beat, mimicking the tempo of the dog's stress. He turned the terror into a game, a rhythmic ritual that confused the German Shepherd into a state of bewildered curiosity. "Is that all you've got, Bane? Give me a faster beat," Silas would joke, his voice full of affection. The dog would tilt his head, his growl faltering for a split second as he tried to process this new reaction. For the first time in his life, Bane wasn't being met with a hit, he was being met with a smile and music. Silas knew that the Heartwarming wasn't a threat anymore. It was the beginning of a conversation that would last a lifetime. He saw the flicker of trust in Bane's eyes, a tiny spark in the dark. Months passed, and the herd stopping never truly stopped, but the meaning behind it had undergone a cosmic shift. One evening, Silas sat on the porch, watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of bruised purple and gold. Bane approached him, his massive frame casting a long shadow over the wooden boards. As always, the teeth came out. The growl was deep, guttural, and constant, but this time, Bane didn't stand 3 feet away. He walked closer, 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 until his scarred, wet nose was pressed directly against Silas's chest. The Heartwarming was vibrating through Silas's very bones, but the dog's tail, for the first time ever, gave a single hesitant wag. It was the most beautiful thing Silas had ever felt. He realized that Bane was thanking him. He was saying, "I love you," in the only language he knew, the language of the survivor. Silas reached out and gently closed his hand over Bane's jaw, moving it in time with a soft melody he hummed under his breath. They were two outcasts who had found a way to communicate in a world that had tried to silence them both. Silas felt a surge of pure, unfiltered joy. He had seen what no one else bothered to look for, a heart of gold hidden behind a mask of iron. Bane had chosen Silas because Silas was the only one who didn't try to change his voice. He simply learned to sing along with it. Today, Bane is no longer a monster. He is a guardian whose heart belongs entirely to the man who saw the music in his growl. What would you do in this situation? Tell me in the comments below.